Good morning, students. This is chapter number 2, Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. In this chapter, we'll be studying about the plants and how do they reproduce. I'll be making 3 videos, and this is video number 1. In this video, let us study about the pre-fertilization structures and events. Now we know that the reproductive part of the plant is a flower. Now, before the flower is developed, several structural and hormonal changes takes place and a floral primordia is developed. And then an inflorescence is formed. This inflorescence bears flower buds and then flower. You can see the inflorescence over here. This is the floral meristem. And in flower, there are male and female reproductive system. The male reproductive part is known as the androecium and the female, the gynoecium. Let us study the structure of the flower. It has different parts: the stalk, thalamus, petal, sepal, stamens, and carpel. You can see this is the stalk, that is the pedicel that holds the flower. Then there is a bulged out portion, that is the thalamus. It's a swollen part of the stalk. Then there are 4 whorls. If all the 4 whorls are present, you call it as a complete flower. The very first whorl, the calyx, that has the sepals. These sepals, they cover the bud and they ensure protection. Then comes the petals, that is the colored part. Attracts insect. Then the male reproductive part, that is the androecium, that consists of stamens. These stamens further consist of anther and filament, and the anther produces pollen grain produces male gametes. Then there is a female reproductive part, that is the gynoecium or the carpel, that produces female gametes. Now let us see to the structure of stamen. A stamen has 2 parts. One is the filament, that is the stalk, and the other part, the anther. Look into the anther is bilobed, and each lobe has 2 thecas, so dithecous. Each lobe has 2 pollen sacs. These pollen sacs are known as microsporangia. In total, there are 4 macrosporangia in an anther. Each microsporangia produces spores, which later develops into a pollen grains. Let us see to the structure of microsporangium. A typical microsporangium appears circular and is surrounded by 4 walls. The first, epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and tapetum. Epidermis, it is the outermost layer, and the cells are protective in nature. Endothecium, the second layer, the cells are thick, and that it also is protective in nature as well as it helps in adhesion. The middle layer, it is 2 to 3 layer thick, and it also helps in protection as well as helps in adhesions. The last, that is the tapetum, is the 4th layer and the innermost layer with dense cytoplasm and many nuclei. It provides nourishment to the developing pollen grains. The center of each, if you can see over here, the center of each microsporangium is filled with sporogenous tissue. This is the sporogenous tissue. These sporogenous tissues are closely arranged and later on develops into microspore mother cell. Now let's talk about microsporogenesis. Microsporogenesis, what do we mean by it? That is, the formation of microspore is termed as microsporogenesis. Microspores are formed inside the microsporangium. As I told you just now, sporogenous cells, they differentiate as microspore mother cell, which is also known as myocytes. Their ploidy is 2N. Now, these myocytes undergo meiosis, and each microspore mother cell, after undergoing meiosis, forms 4 haploid microspores. That is known as microspore tetrad. You can see over here, this is a microspore mother cell or a myocyte, which has a diploid nucleus, undergoes meiosis 1 and then meiosis 2. It forms 4 microspore joined together. They are attached, connected with each other, which is known as microspore tetrad. Later on, these microspore dissociates, separates out, and develop into pollen grain. Pollen grains, they contain male gametes. But what are pollen grains known as? Pollen grains are known as male gametophytes. Let us see to the structure of pollen grain. Each pollen grain is a tiny spherical structure surrounded by 2 layers. The outer layer exine and the inner layer intine. The outer layer exine, as you can see over here, this exine, it is a hard layer composed of sporopollenin. And children, sporopollenin is a substance that is highly resistant to enzymes, temperature, pH. It does not, and that's why pollen grains do not get degraded and they can be preserved as fossils. Talking about the second layer is made up of intine. The inner layer is made up of intine, and this intine layer is made up of cellulose and pectin. Now let's see to the formation of pollen grains from the microspore. As I told you that microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form microspore tetrad. These microspore tetrads separate out and behaves as a microspore. This microspore, if you see over here, this figure, this diagram, the microspore first expands, increases in size, and it has a large vacuole. Because of this large vacuole, this nucleus is pushed towards a side, one side. You can see the nucleus is not in the center. If you follow my cursor, it is towards one side. So the position of the nucleus is eccentric. Now this nucleus, as you must have remembered, they have already gone meiosis. It's already haploid. So this nucleus will undergo mitosis because it's already haploid. Now you can again see over here, the nucleus is at one corner. This nucleus undergoes mitosis and forms 2 nuclei. And thus it forms 2 cells. The bigger cell is known as the vegetative cell, and in that vegetative cell, the smaller cell, that is the generative cell, floats in the vegetative cell. If the pollen grain is dehisced at this stage, it is known as a 2-cell stage. But in many species of plant, the pollen grains do not get dehisced at this stage. The generative cell nuclei undergoes mitosis again to form 2 male gametes, and then they are known as a 3-cell stage, and the pollen grain may get dehisced at a 3-cell stage. Now basically, what is the difference between a vegetative and a generative cell? The vegetative cell is bigger in size and the generative cell is smaller. Vegetative cell has an irregular shaped nucleus, whereas generative cell is spindle shaped and dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. Vegetative cell is also termed as tube cell, as it is responsible for the growth of the pollen tube. Generative cell floats, as I have already told you, in the cytoplasm of vegetative cell. Now let us talk about the importance of pollen. Children, pollen grains are rich in nutrients. There are pollen tablets, which are used as food supplements. Pollen products and syrups are also available in the market. Pollen consumption has been claimed to increase the performance of athletes and racehorses. Pollen grains cause allergy. Pollen grain also causes bronchial affliction, respiratory diseases in many people, leading to chronic respiratory disorders like asthma, bronchitis. Parthenia or carrot grass that came to India with imported wheat causes pollen allergy. Let's talk about storing of pollen grain. The pollen grains can be stored in liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees Celsius. And this is known as cryopreservation. Such pollen grains can be used as pollen banks in crop breeding program. If we talk about the pollen viability, after shedding, pollen grains have to land on the stigma before they lose the pollen viability, before they lose the viability. If they really want to bring about fertilization. And the period for which the pollen remains fertile is known as its viability. This viability depends upon the prevailing temperature and humidity. For example, some cereals like rice and wheat, the pollen grain loses its viability within 30 minutes of their release. Whereas members of Rosaceae, Leguminaceae, Solanaceae, they have a viability of for about months. So in this video, we have learnt about the male reproductive part of the plant. In the next video, we'll be learning about the female reproductive part of the plant and pollination. Thank you.